My name is Shirley Phillips, and this corruption happened in Lee County, Florida. That would be Fort Myers, Florida. My husband and I were property managers on a property for 10 years. We worked hard all of our life, and we really never had a problem. Our property was going up for sale recently. It was in the newspaper. Of course, being a property manager, you have to react to all different situations, and we always trusted in the system. At one time, I was woken up. This is when my nightmare started. I was woken up at 4:30 in the morning by an officer, Veo. He woke me up to get a trespass warrant on two of the residents that were renting in the motel room. They were two brothers. I was standing out in the cold, raining. Also, there were 3 sheriffs there. Veo was already inside. The one sheriff came out with a baggie. It had white powdery substance in it. Went back in and he came out with a Crown Royal bag. He said, "I have hit the jackpot," quote unquote. This Crown Royal bag is rolled up with $20 bills. The meantime, I'm standing at the sheriff's car waiting for the trespass warrant to be issued. It was issued, I signed, went into my home to try to get some sleep. The next morning, I got up, looked on the computer, and found there were no drug arrests. There was no arrest for anything other than the trespass warrant I signed. Lo and behold, I talked to my husband about this, the harassment of this officer. We had decided we were going to call Internal Affairs, which we did. Reported it to Internal Affairs. They did nothing. They told me to contact his supervisor, who was a major. I did that also. After that incident happened, and I must add that his wife is also an FBI agent in Fort Myers. I did not know that at the time, but I do now. This has been a year ago. We've had to do a lot of healing and soul-searching on this matter. A week and a half to 2 weeks later, the sheriff department shows up on our doorstep telling me that my husband's bike was stolen. He's had it for 4 years. We had a clear title from DMV. We went through a title company called Title Master. We had showed him all the paperwork on it. They came, 4 or 5 of them, standing out there. A couple of the sheriffs I knew from being there for 10 years. I was very surprised they were doing this. They were yelling at my husband. They were telling him, "You're going to sign this paper or we're going to arrest you right now." We were really in a bad shape because we knew we were going to be leaving that property, and it was advertised in the newspaper. Now the sheriffs are coming in. They took the motorcycle. They called a tow truck, took it without a search warrant. He wanted to take photos of them carrying out this motorcycle that he had $10,000 into. They took out the motorcycle, wouldn't let him to take photos. I know that's against my rights. I then, after that, called the major back again and said, "Sorry, why are you still harassing us here? We're going to be leaving here soon, so please leave us alone." A week later, we're moving our things into St. Petersburg, Florida, because we know we're leaving that property. We get home from St. Pete. My house has been robbed. The back door was left open. Jewelry I have collected for over 40 years was stolen. The detectives came in. They lasted for 60 seconds, maybe 2 minutes in my home investigating. Never got back with me. Never found my jewelry. When I called this detective, well, every time you call, I got to do paperwork. They never located anything of that nature. This gentleman that says the bike was stolen, actually, he is supposedly a CI for the sheriff department. I want to show you this picture because he has over 90 felonies in Lee County itself. He supposedly was recently working as a CI for the sheriff department. So he had free hand into doing drugs and flipping on people. This is overwhelming. This is also a recent report on him from October 29th of this year, where he was arrested for a felony that he was in a robbery. Now, he came into court. He was so whacked out he could barely move. We hired attorneys. We thought we were doing the right thing, but they had already decided a year ago in December that they were going to give this bike to this gentleman for some odd reason and change the plates on the bike. In fact, Gary Parkell from Palmetto, Florida, was in charge of changing the plates on the bike. He also stated that he doesn't know what the sheriff does when they change plates on any vehicle. He just does what they tell him, and then they can do what they want with the plates. Now, we also called DMV. DMV said, sorry, Detective Williams already told us to issue a title to Gary Bates with these new plates. Well, we said we were supposed to go to court. My husband called. Did you ever try to get a hold of anybody at DMV around Christmas? You cannot. We called 5 or 6 times a day. Unfortunately, my attorney, Spencer Cordell, was involved and said, sorry, it looks like DMV and Detective Williams has made their decision that this bike was going to Gary Bates, even though we had a legal title. We then fought and fought and fought, and finally we got a court case. After I had to call my attorney on vacation over New Year's Eve and called him several times. I told him we also have rights as a human being. We're tax-paying people. We've worked hard all our lives. We're not like this person who has spent more time in jail than they have on the street. We are tax-paying citizens, working hard. I'm 60 years old. My husband's in his 50s. We don't deserve this as human beings on this earth. Oh, sorry. Oh, boy. Okay, where's the picture of the bike? That's Maria Gonzalez. Oh, boy, I was getting on a roll there. I get on a roll. I just tell it like it is. Okay. This is a photo of my husband with his other help in North Fort Myers. They all had motorcycles. They had a little thing going on here. This is his motorcycle that he remodeled. Well, actually rebuilt. That actually is me on the motorcycle. I never rode, however, but it was very nice. It was actually a piece of art. It's a 1981 Shovelhead, which is pretty rare. This is also a photo of the bike. We finally got to court and went to court. The first time my attorney said we're going in, the title company had made an error. Instead of an R, she put a K. Although she ran this bike through the sheriff department, they couldn't find an R or a K, so she put an R. We also checked with DMV. Nobody has registered that bike in over 10 years. And we had this judge, Maria Gonzalez. This is not our case, but another case that was recent here in Cape Coral. Apparently, she's a judge that kind of does her own thing. Gary Bates, alias street name, is Jake the Snake. So a lot of people know him there. They know him from running drugs and street hookers and all kinds of stuff. How he gets away with everything other than the past year, the only year he was not arrested, was the time that this was going through our court system. The judge decided that Mr. Bates would get the motorcycle. She did not even give us the opportunity to go back to court. Like she stated, we were supposed to go back to court. She made this decision on her own, called my attorney, and said, this is what's going to happen. We have every receipt of $9,000 of money that we put into this bike we will be leaving for everyone to see. The DMV was an attorney on the phone in the courtroom. The DMV said it's up to the judge. The judge made her own decision. Bias. We don't know where this bike is right now. I called the DMV for the tag. The state of Florida, you have to return the tag. The DMV said, I don't know where the tag is. Call the sheriff department. They took your bike. Should I say more?
What else do you want to say?
I am outraged at Lee County, the Sheriff Department, the way they treat people, they treat them all like criminals. It's obvious through the Sheriff Department that if you come out and say anything and live in Lee County, that you will be harassed on the street. They will make your life, quote unquote, will make your life hell. I'm sorry that we turned in a sheriff and I thought I was doing the right thing, never knowing that all of this was going to happen. Is it a coincidence? All this happened in 2.5 weeks. I don't know. I will really let you decide on that matter.
I've decided it's not a coincidence, just as you've decided, right?
They're more concerned over this guy obtaining a bike than my wife's jewelry being returned. And over the 10-year period of time, I had stuff stolen off of that property, and they never recovered a thing. But they went after to recover this bike for this gentleman who actually lost it because he owed his mechanic $2,000. I never paid it.
Yes, and as he stated in front of the judge in court, well, Larry, who's the person, that fiance we bought the bike from, well, yeah, Larry's my brother. Well, the judge says, what's his last name? I don't really know. Well, isn't he your brother? No, actually, he's my roommate. Oh, he's your roommate. So how did your bike get there? Well, as I was being busted for cocaine, when I was being busted for delivering cocaine and doing cocaine, the sheriff department helped me roll my motorcycle up to Larry's house. So now he's a neighbor. He committed perjury 3 times within 60 seconds. We paid for court costs. I have never really had any doings with court or any procedures, but I know that wasn't right. He just acted like he owned the court. He was whacked out. He was asking for pens. I can't see. I can't hear. He showed a copy of a title which void all over it, and I blame my attorney because my attorney never really checked into if he even had a title. So, lo and behold, I have contacted the governor and got my reply. State's attorneys got my reply. And like everyone else, nobody really wants to do anything. Nobody wants to do anything until it happens to you. We also have a letter from DMV stating, sorry that we issued you a title that was, we accidentally issued you a title. So you need to really send that back to us. Well, guess what? We did not send back the title. We have all documentation here from the Sheriff Department to Title Master, a title company in Fort Myers, that went through and did all the paperwork, did a search on the bike, and everything that we're going to be leaving here today. My main goal is just that Lee County is so corrupt. It really needs to be cleaned up, and we really don't want things like this to happen to anybody else.